Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're here again with Fracia Friends. I hope you go and have enjoyed these. I've enjoyed preparing them so much. It's been such an experience. As much as I miss all of you, this has been a great thing to do. Well, I wanted to start out with reminding you about our memory verses. Remember our first week from Joshua 1:9? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Man, during this coronavirus, that has been a good verse for us to go and hold on to, hasn't it? And our second week, remember, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. That was one that we'll remember because it was kind of a different Easter this year, wasn't it? Because we didn't come to church. We still had church. And Jesus still went and had resurrected and is still with us through that Easter season, but that was a different one to do it that way. Then we had our For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, I said one of the words different because I learned it in the King James Version when I was little, but that's John 3:16. And then remember last week's I didn't go and print it out because it was so long, so I hope some of you went and practiced it because it was 1 Corinthians 12:4-6, and either read it or practiced reading it with yourself or with mom or somebody. Maybe read it to a younger brother or sister. Maybe some of you memorized it, and I think that would be a great thing too. Well, our last thing that I want to show you, because I'm going to go over here because cameraman Clayton's here again, so we're so glad that he's here to go and help. And remember the last thing we talked about, gifts and talents last week. Remember the last thing we talked about was use your gifts serving God. And we had our friend Ian go and show us one of his gifts that he'd been working on because he had been learning to do the piano. Well, this week on Fracia Friends, we're going to go and have a friend come in that you're all going to know. And he was willing to come in and help me to do an object lesson, but we're going to visit a little bit first. And so from Blue Springs Elementary, here comes Kai Spann. Yeah. Hello, Kai. How are you doing?
Good.
How have you been doing at home, having to stay home with your family lots more hours than normal?
Yeah.
Been different, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. Ian told us last week how they did their schoolwork. Tell us how you guys have had to do your schoolwork at your house.
Well, people that don't have any electronics, they have to get packets from the school and do their homework. People that do, they do it online, and they have assignments on the school classroom. And then they do other assignments and meetings, and then they have meetings on Tuesdays. And then they have assignments Tuesday through Wednesday to Thursday to Friday to Monday, and then they do it all over again.
And so what time do you meet on Tuesday?
6 to 7.
Oh, 6 to 7 in the morning?
No.
Oh, thank goodness. So you don't have to get up. So 6 to 7 at night. Have you went and set a certain time that you do your homework? Or do you like to do it in the morning or the afternoon? What have you set?
Right after, I usually do it right after my mom gets off work, so 4:30-ish.
So that she can be there to help you if you need help.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea. All right, I'm going to ask the tough question. How about, I know that you're in band, and you play the what?
Trumpet.
Have you been practicing?
I did once.
So you need to work on that, huh? Tell them what you have been practicing, though.
My piano.
So I think that's neat, because Ian last week was showing us that he was teaching himself piano, and I know you have a piano teacher, so I think that's a neat thing. When you're not doing homework, what do you do for fun?
Go outside, play with my animals, and watch TV.
Okay, I know that you went and got a new animal. What is your new animal's name?
Pib.
And tell them what that is.
A cat.
And what's Pib stand for?
Puss in Boots.
So I thought that was kind of a clever name. And how old is Pib right now?
5 weeks old.
5 weeks old. Do all your dogs, I know you have several dogs, like Pib?
Yeah, not one. AJ doesn't really like her. She's kind of chaotic.
KJ tries to go and use Pib as a rag doll, I suppose.
Yeah.
If he could get a hold of her. So you have to protect Pib and take care of her.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, oh, I'm sorry. I was being so rude when you came in here. Go ahead, Kai, and sit down. Wait, what are you doing?
What?
I want you to sit down in the chair.
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
No, sit down in the chair. No, you're not listening. I want you to sit down in the chair.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, go ahead and sit down. No, God, you don't understand. You're not listening. Sit down in the chair. Mm-hmm.
I have to open the chair first to sit down.
No, you're not listening. I didn't tell you to open the chair. I told you to sit down in the chair.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, sit down in the chair. No. Sit down in the chair. Don't open the chair. Poor Kai. Was he doing what I asked him to do? Well, most of us will say I never gave him a chance, did I? Because if he's going to go, do you think he could have sat down in this chair the way I wanted him to sit down in the chair? Because see, the chair like it is right now only has 2 legs. Kai was right. He would have to open the chair so it had 4 legs in order for him to sit down in it. There's no way that he could sit down in it like this. It wouldn't support his weight, and it wouldn't do it. So he was trying to do things in order. I wasn't letting him. Kai wanted to do, so I'm going to show you here. First things first. Kai was doing it the way he was supposed to. I never let him. Now, how many of you in your lives can imagine that you would be going around and trying to do stuff without doing first things first? For example, imagine that you went to a high school football game and they're all playing, and all at once you get out of the stands and you run on the field and you say, okay, put me in at wide receiver. And they would look at you because you wouldn't have any equipment on. You wouldn't have come to any of their practices. You wouldn't know the position the way they wanted you to do it because they would have their certain plays. You would never go and do a football game without doing first things first in learning the game and learning how to go and be a wide receiver, learning their particular plays. How about if you went to the hospital and you heard that there was somebody that needed a tonsillectomy? They had to get their tonsils out. And you walk into the operating room without any protective gear on and said, okay, I'm here, give me the knife, and I'll go and operate on that person's tonsils. I think the person who's getting their tonsils out would probably go, no, stop him, because you couldn't do that, be a doctor and take someone's tonsils out without first things first. You'd want to make sure that you had gone to medical school, that you had gone and learned all the things you need to learn as a doctor, that you'd want to learn about the hospital that you were at before you ever operated on somebody. That wouldn't make sense. How about schoolwork? Would you go, and if your teacher said, we want you to go and take a test on this amount of material that has to do with social studies, and you never read the social studies, never opened the book, never prepared, and just sat down with a pencil and a paper and started writing answers down, would you take a test like that? Many of us, I think, have. But we shouldn't have. We should have done first things first. We should have read the material. Or maybe the teacher was going to do it online with you now because we're not in school, but you needed to prepare to go and take that test. Well, how about if you walked out of your house tomorrow, and your family all said, all right, we're going to go for a drive just to get some fresh air. And you said, and maybe you're just in grade school, maybe you're like Kai, you're a fifth grader, and Kai jumps in the car and says, I'll drive. Would his family let him drive around town? I know he's kind of tall, but without not knowing how to go and even turn the car on, maybe? Without having to know the laws in a car, without knowing all the parts to the car, without having a license? Oh, first things first. He first of all needs to be 16 to get a license and have gone through some driving skills and done some practicing with his mom or dad, or maybe even his brother, to go and learn how to drive. He wouldn't just jump in the car and drive. How about that instrument he was talking about? Do you think Kai is going to go and play in the high school band next year without having learned how to play the trumpet in fifth grade band, without practicing and learning his scales, without learning his instrument, how to go and clean it, how to play it, without doing first things first? There's no way that next year, when he's only a sixth grader, he's going to go jump into high school band and play with them without having practiced and learned his instrument. Well, it says in the Bible that we need to go and seek God first in everything that we do. We need to seek him in things that are right, and he'll go and add things to us. Now that's kind of a paraphrase, because later on we're going to go and I'm going to sing that for you, because I learned that verse when I was a little girl. But I want to go and tell you some other scriptures that are in here that talk about us with first things first. Because it says in Jeremiah that he knows, God knows the plans that he has for us. He knows what he has planned for us to do in our lives. We just need to seek by praying to him, by reading his Bible, to know what plans he has for us. We need to do that first. Before we ever go and look around and say, oh, I think I want to be, before we ever say, I think I want to do, we need to go and pray to God and ask him, what is your will, God? What do you want me to be? What do you want me to do? And remember, we talked about our gifts and talents. There might be lots of things that you want to do or you want to be, but you need to go and seek God first and ask him what his plan was for you to do. Because believe it or not, he might go and say, whoa, that wasn't my plan for you. And you might be shocked and say, oh, I thought sure you wanted me to do that. Maybe he has another direction that he wants to lead you. So that's why you need to seek him. Now, some of us never ask God before we do a lot of these things that I mentioned. We never ask for his guidance. We never ask for his help. Does that mean God's going to say, oh, because you didn't ask me, I'm not going to let you do it? No, he's not going to booby trap you. But we do need to go and as Christians make sure that we seek God first. How about in Hebrews, it says when we go and seek God's will, he is going to equip us for the things that we're doing. Whoa. He's going to equip us, and if we do his will, he's going to prepare us for that. He's going to give us that mind that knows. He's going to give us that interest. He's going to give us that desire, that passion, that ability to go and do whatever it is that he has in plan for us. In James, it says, if you lack wisdom, you need to ask God. I think we all lack wisdom in a lot of things. And we shouldn't always go and think that we're the smartest. Sometimes I think we go and lean so much, it says in here, on our own understanding instead of leaning on God's understanding. And give it to him and let him help us to know what we're supposed to do. And that was in Proverbs, by the way, where it says to go and lean, trust God and his understanding, not our own understanding. And in 2 Peter, this is one that I sometimes have a problem with. Because if we do it, have you ever heard anybody say, we're doing it in God's time? Sometimes I don't think his clock works like my clock. And I think, man, I want to know how to do this, and I want to have this, oh, I want this direction, I want to do it right now. I have no patience. God is very patient, and God has a plan laid out. Maybe we think something should be done within a month, and maybe he thinks that it's going to take us a year to do something. And we have to, not just kids, but us adults too, we need to be patient and know that God is so patient with us in the things that we do, the things that we try. God is patient with us in our Christian lives too. He knows that if we think, oh, I think I'm going to be the best teacher and the best without preparing, without doing first things first, he's going to be patient with, because he doesn't want any of us to fail, but he does want us to go and seek his wisdom and seek him first in what we're doing in those areas. Well, I want to go, and here's our scripture verse, our memory verse. It's Matthew 6:33, and this is how I learned it as a kid. And so it's going to sound like King James because they don't say you in there, they always say ye, but this is how that one goes. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Alleluia, alleluia. Okay, kids, that's the memory verse for next week. I'm glad you came again today, and we're glad that Kai came. We'll see you next week.